Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
Okay, so I have been waiting for this one. This happened to me when I was 17. So back then I used to work, and this particular job used to finish really late. So on this particular day, it was really dark, late, and there was a man that was standing near my bus stop but not at my bus stop. Instantly I got a really bad vibe, and I saw that he was looking at me and watching me. He was watching to see what bus I would take, and I would pretend to get up when other buses would come just to test, and he would also move. So I knew something was wrong. I got onto my bus, and as I had already guessed, he got on too. I sat on the bottom floor at the beginning. He also was on the bottom floor, but right behind me. So I got up right in the middle while the bus was moving to sit on the top floor, and then he also got up to move and sit right in front of me on the top floor. So I had an option of 2 stops in order to get to my house. So as the second stop approached, I buzzed the bell and went downstairs. Bus driver opened the doors, and I sat at the front near the door. A few seconds later, he ran downstairs and he left the bus. He saw me from the corner of his eye and decided to swing back inside.
Not a girl, I'm agender, but I'll take it. Once upon a time, when I was really religious, I served a mission in Chile, and one day we were knocking doors in this neighborhood, and when we knocked on the door of one of these houses, a great big dog that weighed more than I did came out of the shadows and attacked me. I didn't know at this time that this family fed the dog every day, and he probably saw me as a threat to his food source. So anyway, he had me down on the ground. He was going for my belly. Like, he meant business, and I was really scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I remembered the way I had seen other people treat dogs in the street. And I thought, maybe if I'm lucky, he has PTSD. And so I cocked back my hand as if I had a great big rock in it, and he ran away. He was so used to getting rocks thrown at him that he thought I was going to do so, and that probably saved me some serious injury.
So my freshman year of high school, I was in band, and we took a trip to Disney. And the first day of the Disney trip was a water park day, and I was in a group with 3 other girls, and I'd use the restroom. So we decided they would just wait for me, and we would go on with our trip. They left, did not tell me. I don't have my phone. I'm super confused. I don't know where my friends are. But there's this lady in there, and she is staring at me. And I was like, I thought I'd never get kidnapped, because I was fat and ugly. Wrong. This lady's like, sweetheart, there's something wrong with your suit. Like, I need to fix it for you. And I was like, and then she starts touching me really, really weird. And then I was like, trying to get around her, trying to go to the sinks, whatever. She's trying to usher me out. She's like, no, we need to go get you another suit. There's 3 men sitting out there who are not wearing swimsuits. And then this girl comes out of one of the stalls, and then I start acting like I know this girl. And I'm like, this lady says there's something wrong with my suit. Can you check? She played along and probably saved my life, because that lady and the men left.
So this happened a few weeks ago, and I posted a little bit about it on Twitter. So I was walking home from the store, as you do. I was wearing a mask and mostly paying attention to my phone, but I have PTSD, so I have hypervigilance. So I'm always extremely aware of my surroundings. And this dude in a white van got out of his van and said, "Hey miss, could you come here for a second? I just want to show you something." So I pretended that I couldn't hear him, and thankfully I was close enough to my building that I was able to get into my building, and the door immediately locked behind me. By the time I got into my unit, I was completely shaking. The truth is that I don't even know what this guy's intentions were. But what I do know is that there's no reason for a grown man to approach me, a person he does not know, because he wants to show me something in his van.
So I'm an Instacart shopper, and that's where people place their groceries online, and I basically go and I shop it for them and I deliver it to their house. I never really thought of it as dangerous until this one night. So I was delivering to a lady, and she wrote in the instructions to meet me at the door, and usually they just say to leave it at the door. So I walk up to her, I immediately get bad vibes from her. She has long, tangly, gray hair. She's wearing a nightgown. She looks like a witch, basically, and I was like, So I hand the bags to her, and she's like, "Oh, actually, do you think you could go up those stairs and go in that door on the right and just set them in there?" It was like an old, creepy apartment complex type of thing, and her husband was standing up there at the top of the stairs. Immediately in my head, I was like, oh my god, I'm about to get kidnapped. So I was like, oh, I actually don't think I'm supposed to. And she goes, no, yeah, you are. I just gave them to her. I ran to my car. I was shaking and crying because I literally almost got kidnapped.
Well, I have a story. So, when I was in my first year of university, I went to see my friend at her university, in another town completely. And one of her friends got blindly drunk and was in her bed sleeping it off. And in the middle of the party, I decided I would go and bring up some water, check she was okay. And as I opened the door, there were 2 guys in the room who were from my university. And I walk in what are you guys doing? She's trying to sleep. And then they were drunk as well, not an excuse. But one of them is like, oh, I'm going to get into bed with her, have a nap. And I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And so I go forward to be like, hey guys, please get out. And as I go to tell them, the other guy, who I think did this drunkenly, but he grabs me from the behind and grabs my throat, and I can't breathe. And the party's so loud, no one can hear me scream. And so I'm looking at this guy about to get into this bed with this girl, and this guy's me by the throat, and I have no idea what to do. Sorry, I'll post number 2 right away.
I was in the hospital a few years ago as a patient. I'm also a nurse, but I was in as a patient. And about midnight, the intercom system came on, and I was assuming they were going to be like a code blue or something like that. But instead, they said active shooter, 2nd floor. And in that split second, I heard shots and realized I was on the 2nd floor. And being a nurse, I knew none of the rooms had locks on the doors, neither did the bathrooms. So I got myself into the bathroom, and because the bathroom door opened out, I couldn't barricade it at all. So I took the power cord out of the back of my IV pole, and I tied it around the door handle, and I tied the other end around the shower handle as tight as I could so the door couldn't be opened from the outside. And then I laid on the floor for 32 minutes and waited for the police to come and get me. And they had killed the shooter right in front of my room.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life. I'll go first. 2 years ago, I was walking my dog at the park, and a man approached me and asked to take a picture of her. And I said yes, because why not? It's a picture of a dog. So he starts taking a picture of my dog, and then I realized that he was like holding up her collar, and then it hit me. My address is on that collar. He's not taking a picture of my dog, he's taking a picture of my address. So I told him that I actually didn't feel comfortable with him having a picture of my dog, and I asked him to delete it. So he deletes it and then like starts walking away really fast. And I was like, excuse me, sir, no, could you also go into your deleted album and delete it from there? And he goes, I don't have a deleted album. And I was like, you have an iPhone, everybody has a deleted album, could you please delete the picture? And he was like, sorry, I don't have a deleted album, and like keeps walking away. And keep in mind, this is like 2 p.m. in a park, like there's other people around. So now I'm like chasing after him, and I'm telling him, sir, I know you have the album, I will show you where the album is, can you please go onto your phone so that we can delete the picture? Oh, part 2.
Honestly, I've got a few of these, but the one that springs to mind was I was a single, naive 18-year-old in Bangkok, and I got a tuk-tuk by myself to what I thought was going to the floating market. And I realised after about 15 minutes that he was not driving me towards the floating market at all. And I started asking him, excuse me, I need to go to the market, blah, blah, blah. And he just didn't answer. He didn't look in the mirror. He was silent, and he then reached round and he grabbed my thigh, and I waited until the traffic slowed down, and I grabbed my huge rucksack and I dropped and rolled out the side of that tuk-tuk, and I ran as fast as I could, and I could hear him screaming at me behind me. And yeah, I know I avoided a kidnap.
Okay, so it wasn't my life, it was another girl's, but honestly, this shit was wild. So this was when I was back in college, and I remember I was with like a group of friends, and we were bar hopping, so we were like walking around neighborhoods and stuff, and then all of a sudden I hear someone behind me like running. I think it's a dude because I'm paranoid as fuck because we have to be, we're women, and I turn around and I realize it's a girl. For some reason, I just like had this gut feeling that like something was horribly wrong, so I snatched her by her arm and I went, oh my god, hey girl, I've been looking for you all night, like where have you been? You know, like pretending I knew her. This poor thing with tears in her eyes looks at me and goes, dude, I was hooking up with this guy and I really didn't want to, and then he went to go grab a condom and I didn't know what to do, so I jumped out the window and just started running. I walked that girl 5 miles home and tucked her into her bed in her dorm safe and fucking sound. Pussy power, ladies. Make sure we're protecting each other out here, okay?
About 8 years ago, I was leaning over in the back seat, buckling my daughter into her car seat. I got a strange feeling like something was behind me, so I got up to look, and that's when I see a large man approaching me very quickly, arms outreached as if he was going to grab me. My first instinct was to say, stop or I'll shoot. He hesitated. That gave me enough time to jump in my car and speed away as fast as I could. I didn't have a gun on me. I don't know what made him not call my bluff, but that saved my life. That day, I went home and registered for my concealed weapons license class, and I've been carrying a firearm ever since. I never want to put myself in a position where I need a firearm and I don't have it ever again. I'd rather have and not need than need and not have. And I'd just like to note it's not carrying a firearm, it's also being efficient with it. So make sure you practice if you can.